Let's time travel back to July 2020 when a certain San Diego Comic-Con exclusive by NECA would turn heads in the TMNT collecting scene. Frustration and fear of missing out sets in for anything these little green devils are involved with. The desire to own the Musical Mutagen Tour 4-pack was real, but how big was the nostalgia for the source material dating back to 1990? The Coming Out Their Shells tour, notorious for not having aged well. Let's find out in the Turtles
Behind the Music.
Welcome to a brand new Ed's Retro Geek Out. Be sure to subscribe for more 80s and 90s videos, and let's strap in for this week's Turtle Toy History. It's a sonic assault of sewer rock and rap, the brainchild of four brothers who knew they had a message to be heard by the masses.
It was the most unbelievable, best new rock and roll band I had ever seen. I just had a sign.
But disaster would strike when the Shredder crashed the party on almost every date of their tour. Coming right off the success of their first full-length feature film.
So the Turtles are actually on stage. You've got a big band behind them, or a band?
They're playing their own instruments.
Yeah, they are really playing their own instruments.
They're very talented.
The pressure on the band got tougher.
People didn't even know we were real. Now they can see us and hear us.
But just like Destiny brought them together, it would also allow their album to go triple platinum.
Must be my age, but I'll never understand it. The Turtles already have a hit record, Count on Us.
Playing to packed venues all over the world, leaving their legacy everywhere they went. This is the story of when the Turtles came out of their shells. Now, stage shows for kids have been around forever, with shows like Disney on Ice, but this wouldn't just be a stage show like the He-Man and She-Ra Power Tour or Thundercats Live. But then again, how did it come about? Even before the $200 million hit that was the first movie, this project was already in the works. An idea of Bob Bayon and Godfrey Nelson would get a positive reaction after cold calling the Turtle creators Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. They wanted to bring a rock and roll show with a story and not just be another Broadway musical. Now, in order to do so, they would need to get the licensing for the Turtles, and gladly they secured it 2 months before the movie hit. It was still a big sum of $50,000 to get the rights, but they found a producer who was able to put down the money.
I don't mind him.
The tour that would come out of this venture would forever be connected to Pizza Hut, who played a big part in the success of the tour.
Where are we? Pizza Hut!
A no-brainer match, of course, that would allow Bayon and Nelson to do a massive stage show and record a full album, of which Pizza Hut bought 3 million copies up front to add as a promo when visiting the restaurants. Now fast forward a couple months and the movie was out. It was a success. They ate pizza, Pizza Hut makes pizza, and the Pizza Hut marketing people made sure everyone knew. They'd also do a nationwide advertising campaign and television commercials. But wait, we still needed the music. With a down payment on the cassettes that was gonna be released by MCA Records, they had all the budget they could wish for to record the album, even getting it produced by Keith Forsey, who did songs for Beverly Hills Cop, Ghostbusters, and co-wrote Flashdance. What a feeling. Now, you know, nobody was gonna put Mikey and the gang in the corner. You can actually hear Bayon on the record as Michelangelo, and Nelson provided the singing voice for Splinter's song. The record would be 10 songs strong with 2 singles. The first one, Coming Out of Our Shells, and the second one, Count on Us. But there would also be an anti-drug song, like Walk Straight, No Need to Mutate, Be Straight, See Straight, Hear Straight, Think Straight, which would place them in the straight edge genre next to Minor Threat. But there's always one vice. If there's something they could never say no to, it's gotta be pizza, in the ever so turtly Pizza Power or Cowabunga song. Overall, it's not a bad sounding record for the time, but it's really played out to be okay for 7-year-olds to listen to, with the easy listening mechanics and clean rap vocals. Now, all of the Turtles sang, but let's introduce the band we got. Michelangelo, he plays the guitar and does the lead vocals. You got Donnie on keys, Leo slapping the bass, but Raphael has a hidden talent of being a multi-instrumentalist, taking on drums, percussion, and the saxophone for his account. The recording of the album would get documented in a VHS tape called The Making of Coming Out Their Shells. An half-an-hour documentary set up as if the Turtles were real, so you get this weird angle on the story behind why they decided to start making music.
Sheldon!
But also why they only have a 3-string guitar and a 1-string bass, and how they helped out making the stages and sets, the costumes, pretty much everything leading up to the big premiere of this rock and roll show.
We're ready to come out of our shells, and we're excited about opening here and starting the North American tour at Radio City.
And they could even count on the media to get the word out. The band appeared on Regis and Katy Lee, Larry King Live, but the Oprah show would end in a bit of a controversy, as the Turtles go off script about their relationship with April. It was kind of awkward.
Oprah, I've been trying to talk her into an interspecies relationship for months now.
Chill, man.
Really awkward. The tour would kick off starting with a run of shows at the Radio City Music Hall in New York City. The Turtles literally came out from the underground with their sound, and you'd be able to catch them out of the sewers and in plain sight during the pay-per-view live show from the third night. The show would be a 90-minute action-packed gig with special guests like Master Splinter and April O'Neil, both appearing on the album as well, that went triple platinum thanks to Pizza Hut. With the show, the Turtles would set out to travel the world and meet all their fans finally face to face, and then you would see them. This was not the Jim Henson Turtles with the intricate animatronics that we knew from the movie by now. The Turtles' mouths barely moved and they look creepy, like they're surprised to see you. Now, in a big concert venue, this wouldn't be such a big problem, as you'd see them from afar and the details of the costumes would never really be seen. But close up on the TV, there's a couple shortcomings showing. I know the tour is called Out of Their Shells, but they don't even have shells this time. And there would be a reason. In order to perform a show of this length, they opted for the denim vests to have some more air, which I totally get. For the TV interview and the documentary, they did have more detailed costumes and Muppet movements. This time, the costumes were provided by the Landmark Entertainment Group. But if you thought the Green Machine was just gonna sing their songs without any trouble from Shredder, you were wrong. Behind the scenes, Shredder and Baxter Stockman are creating the D-harmonic convergence converter. The premise of the whole show is pretty much that Shredder doesn't want people to be happy and uses this device to drain all the music out of the world. Not only does it drain the music, but the Turtles actually get weaker by it. And then Shredder proceeds to do the weirdest contradicting thing ever by singing a song called I Hate Music, backed up by his Foot Clan dancers.
We're happy together.
Now, the song didn't make it on the record, so maybe he was just mad about that. During the whole performance, his voice has a vocoder effect on it. Well, I guess by now they couldn't get James Avery in on this project.
You know, I have a need to express myself too.
As the show proceeds, the Turtles have to retreat and get followed by a pay-per-view reporter called Kip, who actually has the most convincing performance of this old VHS tape.
It's a little spookier down here than I thought.
He interviews the kids and goes to find the Turtles armed with some of the gadgets that you could get your parents to buy you at the show, like light-up nunchucks or the light-up sewer sword that looks a lot like an Imperial label slapped toy. Apart from the light weapons, you could obviously get tour t-shirts and a bandana, and there would even be a t-shirt to commemorate that you watched the pay-per-view event. Like with any of these events behind the scenes, it was all business, which left us as collectors with many things to search for: promotional items, albums in different languages, and the promo pack provided for Pizza Hut. Here you got the official tour guide. The guide had a comic, lyrics to the songs, a segment called Turtle Talk explaining some of their favorite words, and the back had a cutout turtle mask, and this all came in a plastic baggie with the TMNT logo on there. From under the streets to the top of the charts, you could get the cassette tape for only $3.99 with any pizza you got there. Now, the Coming Out of Their Shells tour would only play 5 times in full, and from then on we would get a watered down version for the remainder of the tour. Less extra characters, otherwise it would have been too expensive. As they toured through Canada, parts of Europe, and even Latin America. Six Flags had a shorter cut show in which Shredder couldn't even talk to the audience anymore. Perhaps some kids found it a little bit too scary. And the show was also cut down to only half an hour because they had to do 2 shows each day. And over here, Baxter Stockman got cut from the show as well. Now, the show would also continue till up to 2 years down the line in the Getting Down in Your Town tour, which also got a VHS release, but that would be the last to be heard of the Tortoise Touring Company. 30 years later, we'd finally get the toy celebrating this part of Turtle history. But where were the toys in the 90s? Surely this would have been an easy cash grab for Playmates, right? Well, they weren't advertised as the coming after shells toys, but they had the music theme. In 1991, you could build your own bodacious line of rock and rolling turtles with Rappin' Mike, Classic Rocker Leo, Punker Don, and Heavy Metal Raph. A lot more creativity went into these compared to what we saw on stage. These are some of the most colorful variations of turtles, and added in were fun modified instrument weapons like the guitars, vinyl throwing discs, or Psy drumsticks. Playmates toys would also give each turtle a different music genre to work around. I would have loved seeing the tour with these stylings, but due to it being a licensed affair, I could see why there wasn't a lot of overlap on the toys and the tour. A year later, the touring with these action figures could begin as you got the Rock and Roll Mutabus that could transform in a stage for them to perform on, a school bus in the Mutations line. And added into the assortment of regular turtles, we got the only variation of Mondo Gecko, Rock and Roll Mondo Gecko, with a fun wink to the 60s Summer of Love vibe. Looking back to this type of media, it's probably the one that best documents what the early 90s Turtle Mania really was. A property that could do anything, and how a lucky licensing deal for two young musicians with a dream to make heads turn on Broadway allowed them to be part of the pop culture phenomenon. The songs may have been cheesy, the stage show plot was thin, and the costumes weren't great, but for any young kid completely obsessed by the Ninja Turtles, it was the best night of their lives and their first real rock show experience. If you were able to go, I hope you held on to your ticket stub. But what I want to know is, which toy line inspired stage shows did you see back in the day? I remember going to the Power Rangers World Tour myself, but I know there's got to be dozens more out there. So please leave them in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe for more 80s and 90s toy videos, and don't forget to hit the bell notification thing so you don't miss out on any new videos. If you'd like to support the channel even more, you can always join us on Patreon. Even the $1 tier allows you access to the exclusive Discord where we talk toys all the time. Please leave a like on the video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Turtle Power!